It's a privilege to be able to stand before you this morning in the name of our Lord and Master Jesus Christ and expound upon His words to us this day. This morning I'm going to bring before you an old story in the Old Testament about, we remember the Israelites in the Promised Land and God sending out some spies into the Promised Land to seek out the area and then to come back and to give some valuable information on how they can overtake the Promised Land and all the Israelite people to move into it. Well, as a result of that, there were 12 sent out. 10 came back with an entirely different report than the 2. I want to talk a little bit about Caleb today and his spirit that finally led them to go into the Promised Land as he followed God's instruction and was obedient to Him in his walk in life. We find the story first in Numbers 14, 22 through 24 as God speaks to us. And He says this to the Israelite people. He says, "Not one of the men who saw my glory and miraculous signs I performed in Egypt and in the desert, but who disobeyed me and tested me 10 times, not one of them will ever see the land I promised on oath to their forefathers. No one who has ever treated me with contempt will ever see it. But because my servant Caleb has a different spirit and follows me wholeheartedly, I will bring him into the land he went to, and his descendants will inherit it." And now the rest of the story comes in Joshua 14, verses 6 through 13. It says, "Now the men of Judah approached Joshua in Gilgal, and Caleb, son of Jehumeth the Kenizzite, said to him, 'You know what the Lord said to Moses, the man of God, at Kadesh Barnea about you and me? I was 40 years old when Moses, the servant of the Lord, sent me from Kadesh Barnea to explore the land. And I brought him back a report according to my convictions. But my brothers who went up with me made the hearts of the people melt with fear. I, however, followed the Lord my God wholeheartedly. So on that day Moses swore to me, the land on which your feet have walked will be your inheritance and that of your children forever, because you followed me, or you followed the Lord, oh my God, wholeheartedly. Now then, just as the Lord promised, He has kept me alive for 45 years since the time He said this to Moses while Israel moved about in the desert. So here I am today, 85 years old. I am still as strong today as the day Moses sent me out." How many of us wish that we could say the same thing, huh? After 45 years. Especially this part. "I am just as vigorous to go out to battle now as I was then. Now give me this hill country that the Lord promised me that day. You yourself heard then that the Anakites were there and their cities were large and fortified. But the Lord helping me, I will drive them out just as He said." Then Joshua blessed Caleb, son of Jehumah, and gave him Hebron as his inheritance. Well, one of the most intriguing things about people is their differences. And you might say, thank God there are differences in people. We're all different in one form or another. Many of you have hair and I don't have any. It's different. A lot of things are different. But for example, have you ever noticed the difference between an employer and an employee? I know a lot of you are employees and some of you are employers, but listen to this. When you take a long time as an employee, you're slow. But when your boss takes a long time, he's thorough. When you don't do it, you're lazy, but when your boss doesn't do it, he's too busy. When you make a mistake, you're an idiot, but when your boss makes a mistake, he's only human. When you take a stand, you're being bullheaded. But when your boss does it, he's being firm. When you're out of the office, you're wandering around, but when your boss is out of the office, he's on business. A totally different aspect of life, but we are all different in one form or another. There are many differences in our lives. There's cultural differences, there's social differences, and there's gender differences. But there are some differences among the same gender. People who are different in the same gender. We've all heard the example of the debate about who is smarter, the blonde or the brunette. I'm not picking on any blondes today or any brunettes. We're not going to find out who's smarter or who isn't smarter. But there's a guy that was sitting outside of his lawn one day, and he saw this blonde neighbor walk outside and check her mailbox. And with a confused look on her face, she walks back inside. 5 minutes later, she does the same thing. She walks out, checks her mailbox, seeing there's nothing in it, she walks back inside of her house and with that same confused look. 5 minutes later, the blonde comes back outside and checks her mailbox again. And by this time, her neighbor was getting kind of wondering what was going on. So when she started to walk back inside, he said, "Hey, what are you doing?" And she says, "Well, my computer says I've got mail, and I'm just checking it out." Now we have and I asked permission for this yesterday because I have a granddaughter that's a little blonde once in a while, and she even emails us blonde jokes. And she does this just a little bit, but she loves that kind of stuff, and she is blonde most of the time. And that's our granddaughter, Brooke. But I have to tell you, and I have to make a plug, because this is my granddaughter, and I have the pulpit, right? And I can do that. We went to her graduation yesterday at Ball State, and she graduated magna cum laude. And that is real great. Now, you as a congregation need to decide which side of the family she takes her blondness after and which side she takes her smarts after. I mean, I could tell you, but I'm not going to at this time. So I'll just let you decide that for yourself. But anyhow, amongst God's people, you find many, many differences. When God sent the 12 men to spy out the promised land, we see a major spiritual difference in the 12. For example, 10 came back and said, "We are like grasshoppers in this land of the giants. We cannot enter there. We cannot conquer them. There's nothing we can do. We are just going to back off and not do anything." 2 of them, Joshua and Caleb, said, "We're really able to possess the land. Let's go do it and get it over with. God promised us the land. Let's do it. Let's obey Him." You see, the people of Israel were influenced by the majority. And that was one of the worst mistakes that the children of Israel ever made. You know, the majority is not always right. Even in this great country we live in, the majority is not always right. And sometimes in churches, decisions that are made, the majority is not always right. Sometimes we have people that back off because the project seems way too big and we are scared to enter into it. The majority is not always right.